Hi there, and welcome to the latest video on our channel here at Gardentime Services. Today we're going to fit an outside tap. Now, a lot of people fit outside taps for a lot of different reasons. Mainly because they make watering the garden, washing the car and similar sort of tasks an awful lot easier. They come either as a kit, which you can buy from a DIY centre, or as individual components which you assemble together to form a kit to fit the outside tap. We're going to take you step by step through what you need to do to fit your own outside tap, and we're going to be using individual components. The reason we're going to use individual components is because most of the kits that you buy either online or in the DIY centres, they reduce and restrict the flow of water. This is because most of them are designed for DIY installation by the amateur or the unskilled person who doesn't know about plumbing, and they have a self-cutting boss. The self-cutting feature is very good if you don't feel comfortable working with mains water pressure or roundabout plumbing type of things. But it also restricts the flow of water down quite drastically. They also have an anti-siphon and non-return valve inside. The combination of these factors means that they're unsuitable for use with a pressure washer, and this particular customer wants to use a pressure washer on this tap. So we're going to fit a slightly different variation. We're actually going to cut the water pipe and fit a T-piece in. Now, first of all, we'll show you what you need in order to fit an outside tap. Obviously, you need an outside tap. This is a 1/2 inch bib tap. It has a 3/4 male BSP fitting on one end and a 3/4 female. Sorry, a 3/4 male BSP on the other side for the bib, the hose adapter. And we also have here a wall plate. The wall plate fitting here is where the tap will screw into, and this is what will hold the tap on your wall. The copper pipe, which is 15mm copper, will come through the wall to the inside here, and this will be the end where you connect up to your mains water supply. We also have a tap connector. This is a flexible tap connector which has a 3/4 BSP female threaded coupling on one end and a 15mm or 1/2 inch push fit plumbing connector on the other. This makes it a piece of cake to connect it up. That's it connected, and no leaks. And to remove it, you simply squeeze in the flange and off it comes again. This will make disassembly a lot easier in the future should the need arise. Also, with the flexible pipe work, it allows you a much greater range when it comes to fitting the tap. It makes it so much easier, especially in restricted spaces like we have here in this old 1930s local authority house. As well as these, you will also need one of these. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you can get self-cutting versions of these. They're really readily available in the DIY centres. They are used for washing machines, dishwashers and the like. This one is not a self-cutting version. This one has to be connected into the pipework. So the pipework needs to be cut in order to accommodate this. The advantage of using this over the self-cutting type is that you get the full mains pressure, and this is suitable for use with a pressure washer without any loss in pressure. So we've got our flexible coupling, we have our tap holder and our wall pipe with the wall plate fitted to it. We have our bib tap and we have our connector. You will also need pipe cutter, which we have here in two different styles. This one is great for getting into restricted spaces. This one clearly not so good. However, it does have a deburring tool fitted to it, which is used to clean up the end of the cut copper pipe and get rid of any sharp edges. You will need a screwdriver to screw the screws into the roll plugs, which you will also need 3 of. These are 6mm plugs, and these are to hold your tap boss onto the wall. So Phillips screws, Phillips screwdriver, roll plugs times 3 for this. You will need masonry drills. In this case, these are 6mm roll plugs, so we will need a 6mm masonry drill to put these into the outside wall. You will also need a drill. This is a percussion or hammer drill. This one's a corded one, mains power, because I find that the cordless ones don't have quite the duration that I like. I just happen to like using a corded power tool. But this is a hammer action drill, which you realise is an essential. Also here we have a 16mm masonry bit, which is 60 centimetres in length. Now this is going to be able to go through both sides of the wall, both the inside brick, the cavity and the outside brick in one action, all the way through. We have some spare olives, which you don't really need, but that's just in case. When you buy these fittings, they will come with an olive already installed on each end, so the spare pack of olives is really just a precaution. Plumber's tape or polytetrafluoroethylene PTFE tape. You need this to make sure you get a watertight seal on these compression fittings. Adjustable wrenches, 2 of, to tighten up the plumbing fittings on the compression fittings, and some steel wool, and this is to clean the copper pipe when we put it all together. In addition to that, you'll need a dust mask and a pair of ear defenders. I really can't emphasise enough how important these things are, and of course not forgetting a pair of safety glasses. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and we're going to drill the hole through the wall to install the pipe. Now, before you go drilling holes in the wall, you need to check outside for obstructions like downpipes from your guttering and waste water pipes and gas meter boxes, electricity meter boxes and those sort of things. I've already checked outside. I know that there's no fittings anywhere near here that are going to get in the way, and I know where I want my water tap to be fitted. On the inside, this obviously flexible connector is going to connect the tap, so we can't really put the tap anywhere that we can't reach with the flexible connector. The T-piece will fit here, the flexible connector will fit to the T-piece, and the tap will go through the wall roughly here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to mark the approximate position on the wall that I'm going to fit the tap, and then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to get my PPE on and we're going to drill a hole through the wall. Ear defenders. And now we're going to drill a hole. Now, it's important to try and keep the hole parallel and level going through the wall. To help, a lot of drills now have a spirit level built into the top of them. This one doesn't. What I'm going to use is a post level. These are used for levelling fence posts, gate posts, clothes poles, that sort of thing. But in this particular case, it's going to be used to level up my drill. When the bubble's in between the two lines, it's level. Now that's the first layer of the brick, and we're now into the wall cavity. Despite some teething problems trying to get the drill set up, which I should have done before I started the video. Now again, I want to just check the level. Now, there we have our hole through the wall for the water pipe. So now what we'll do is we'll go outside and we'll mark it up where we want to fit the outside portion. Now, as you can see, we've got a hole in the wall right here. The first thing I'm going to do is blow the dust away, and then we're going to fit this through like so. Now, before we mark the position of the holes to screw it onto the wall, I'm going to actually loosely fit the tap so that I can make sure that when it's in its completed position, the tap will be vertical, straight up and down. So I'm just going to go and grab the tap and then we'll fit it up and mark it. Okay, So now we've got our tap, we're going to screw it into the fitting. Roughly to the position it's going to be in, and then we can see exactly how it's going to sit on the wall. And we're just going to mark the position where the holes need to be. Then we take this back off and we do a slightly better job of marking them. Now, the next thing we have to do is change to the smaller masonry drill bit and drill the holes to put the roll plugs in. And welcome to part 2 of our video on how to fit an outside tap. Now that we've marked the position of the holes on the wall with the marker pen, we can now change to the 8mm drill and drill the holes for the roll plugs. A tip here is to use a piece of tape to mark the depth on the drill for the wall plugs. Like so. Once the drill reaches a piece of tape, you know that your hole is deep enough for the wall plug. Get my mask on. Now that we've got our holes drilled, because of the render on the wall, I'm just going to chip off some of this render. And that'll give us a flat surface to fit the tap boss to. Like so. Now it's a simple matter of putting the raw plugs into the holes and doing up the screws until they're tight. Once it's lined up, you can take the tap off so it's not in the road, and you do your screws. A cordless drill with a Phillips bit in it is a lot quicker. but I've not got one in hand, so I'm just using a screwdriver. And that's it. Now we go back inside and we connect up the water. Hi there. Now we've moved to the inside and to connect up the actual water supply. As you can probably hear, we've got a tap running in the background. A good idea when you're cutting into the water pipe is to turn a cold water tap on the lowest possible position. So you're looking for a ground floor tap in the case of a two-storey building. In this case, this is an old 1930s single-storey building, so it only has a ground floor. And you can hear the cold water running in the background. When I turn off the stopcock on the rising main, the tap stops running. Now we leave the tap turned on because when we cut through this pipe, there's going to be some water in the pipe, and that tap being on will allow that water to drain out of the system. So we've also got a bucket and we've got a towel to catch any water that's left in the pipework and any spillages. Now this, as you can see, I've made a small opening around where we drilled the hole through the wall earlier. This is simply taking the plaster off back to the brick. Again, because this is an old 1930s built house, the walls are very thick. So there isn't a great deal of protrusion on the copper pipe coming through from outside. And in order to accommodate the push fit connector, we've taken out some of the plaster around about the pipe to allow the push fit to fit into that recess. Now, before we cut any pipe work, we're going to have a look and see where the flexible coupling is going to go, in this case here. So I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to mark the pipe with a little arrow to show where this pipe's going to be. Now this is the fitting that's going to go in here, and as you can see, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, there's a small lip inside each end here. Now those are the pipe stops, and that is where the pipe will go into here and stop. It won't go any further. It doesn't meet in the centre, obviously, because it's a T-piece. So we need to cut this pipe so that it will meet at these two stops, which means that we need to do two cuts on this piece of pipe. And we'll do one here, and we'll do one here. So these are the two positions where we're going to cut the pipe, here and here. Now the pipe is quite old, the pipe is quite dirty and covered in dust, and this is where our wire wool comes in. We get a piece of wire wool, and we just clean up the pipe work. And we'll give it a thorough clean once we've cut it, but this is just a basic to get the verdigris and the dirt off the outside of it. Now this next part is where we're going to have some water leaking. Now although the water's turned off, there's still water in this pipe. So when we cut into the pipe, some of the water is going to drain out, and this is what this bucket's here for. This towel will catch any water and stop it going all over the floor. Now, I don't know if it's clear on the camera, so I'll just highlight it. There's a little arrow on this tool, and when you put it on, you rotate it in the direction of the arrow to cut through the pipe. And it's really, really simple to use. First of all, we line up the cutting blade, which is here, with where we want to put the cut. This line on the outside is the guide that shows you where the cutting wheel is. We slide it onto the pipe like so. Then we just turn it round in the direction of the arrow. And you basically just keep turning until the blade cuts through the pipe. And that's it. Now you can see the water draining out. And that's your cut. That's the first cut made, and this is the residual water draining, and the open tap will allow all of this water to drain back and run out. Now we go for our second cut, which is here. We've marked the line, we slide the device on and we rotate back towards ourselves in the direction of the arrow to cut through the pipe. And it will start to get tight and harder to turn the more the blade bites into the pipework. And that's it. And this is the piece of pipe we've cut out. Now this is where we move over to this tool here and we debar the inside edges of the pipework, just like that. It's really quite easy. It's just to take the rough edges off. And we do the other side. And that's that. Going back to our wire wool. We give these pipes a nice thorough clean up. Back to a nice clean copper colour. Still got water leaking out, as you can see. Now, once you've cleaned up the pipe, this is the next part, which is this fitting. As you can see, it's got an on-off valve. We take the nut off, collect the washer, or the olive, sorry. You slide the nut over the pipe, then slide the, not like that, slide the olive on. Same again with the other side. Slide on the nut, then the olive. It's very important to remember to put the nut on first, then the olive. Don't forget the olive. Then this simply slides in and you tighten it up. Now you make sure that these are pushed fully home, and then you tighten the sides up. Now we're also going to put PTFE tape in here before we do the final tighten, but before I do that I'm going to check that everything's still lining up, which it is. So what we're going to do now is tighten up these nuts using our spanners. This wire here, incidentally, is an earth wire. It's part of what's known as supplementary bonding. Now, it's a nuisance because it's in the way, but unfortunately it has to be there. Again, this is an old house. Yours may well not have the piece of wire running along like this. There will be supplementary bonding of some kind, but perhaps not the way this one is set out. Now we just work with two spanners in opposite directions. Like so. Now what this will do is it will squash those little brass rings that we put inside called olives, and it squashes them on so that they grip the pipework. And now that we've done a basic tighten, which will have squashed the olives into place, we can loosen these up again, slide the nuts back, not like that. I'm using this spanner to hold the fitting while I slacken the nut. Okay, so now as you can see, the olives are gripping onto the copper pipe. They won't move, they're quite firm. Now we take the PTFE tape and that's what your PTFE tape looks like. It's not adhesive, this tape. You simply wrap it around the threads. Now, these nuts obviously tighten in a clockwise direction, which is away from me in this case. So we want to wrap the PTFE tape around the fitting side of the olive, and we work away from ourselves so that the action of the nut as we do the nut up doesn't unwind the PTFE tape. And just like that, and then you simply break it off. Now 4 or 5 turns is ample. All this is an extra backup to make sure that there are no leaks. On the other side of the fitting, this nut, again clockwise, which is towards us in this case. So we take the PTFE tape over the back and we wind it back towards ourselves. It can be a bit fiddly to get it started off, you may need to hold it. But again, you start on the fitting side of the olive and work your way back. I'm going to put the bucket back under here because I'm getting quite a bit of spillage. 3 or 4 turns, break it off. And then connect up with fasteners. Now you don't want to over tighten these, but you want to make sure that they are tight. And one of the problems with using these oversized wrenches is that you can over tighten the fitting just like that, and you may get some slip. That's it, tightened up. This is the switch in the off position. Now if I've done my job correctly, I should be able to turn the water back on. Like so. As you can see, we'll just put this up here for some contrast. As you can see, it's nice and dry. We don't have any leaks. And the stop tap on the fitting is doing exactly as it's supposed to. I'm going to turn the water back off again. And now I'm going to connect up the speed fit. Now I haven't cut this pipe, this is the way the pipe comes, so I don't need to clean this one up with a wire wheel. What I'm going to do now is connect the speed fit to the end of this, and it's really just simply a matter of a firm push until it can't go any further, and then pull back and check it's got a good grip, and that's it attached. And now we attach the coupling down here onto the fitting. Finger tight. Again, you can use some PTFE tape around this fitting if you want to. These have a rubber sealing washer inside here, which really eliminates the need for the PTFE tape. But there's no harm. Now I'm going to tighten up this fitting. And that's nice and tight. Now, before you put the tap into use, you need to flush any dust or dirt or grit that's collected inside the pipework. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the outside tap on, and I'm going to turn the water supply on and allow the water to run through the outside tap. So we're going to go outside now, and I'll show you what I mean. Now that's flushed any dirt or dust out of the fitting, but as you can see, it's leaking here where the tap screws into the boss. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some PTFE tape on the threads of the tap before we screw it into the boss. In order to do that, I need to go back inside now and turn the water off. Now, because we've got the washing machine T-piece fitted on the inside, there's no need to turn the water off at the rising main stopcock again. All we have to do is turn the little blue on-off tap on the washing machine fitting off, and we can work on this without any problem. So we unscrew this. This is just the water that's inside the pipe that's leaking out here. We take our PTFE tape. And of course the tap screws in clockwise, so we wind the tape in an anti-clockwise direction. And we coat the threads. With 4 or 5 or 6 rounds of PTFE. We simply break it off. We make sure that we're not blocking the pipework up with the PTFE tape, like so, and then we screw the tap back on. Now this is its final tighten, and now that should be it working. And that's it. That's the installation of a garden tap.